It's time for Inside the Patch with your Las Vegas Raiders. Here's Gnarley Charley.
Well, welcome to Inside the Patch. We are ESPN Fresno, your Valley local sports leader. I'm Gnarley Charley, and we've got the professor, Mitch Adams, the professor of the Perfect Rotation basketball training device. Look at that thing right there. It'll change your kid's life.
Yes, it will.
And
give them that perfect shot.
And then if you put the word Raiders in at perfectrotation.com, you get a 30% discount.
30% off. Yes,
now,
right.
Who is your friend here, Mitch? What's going on?
Oh, my goodness. We have a good one here today. Sam Williams of Fresno State and then the Oakland Raiders. Sam, welcome. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on, fellas.
Well, Sam, here's something you probably don't even know. You were the very first guest on Inside the Patch. This is 15 years ago, and it was at the Raider facility. I was standing with a microphone. Amy Trask, let me talk to you. It was just weird. I didn't know what I was doing, and I think it was your first interview. You just come from Fresno State, and you took the time to be on the show.
That was in Napa. Am I correct? I'm starting to recall.
No, this was actually it was right when you guys came back from Napa, and they had all the kids were there doing the cheerleading thing on one side, and you guys were playing, and I don't know. It was just kind of a chance thing, and you couldn't have been nicer. And of course, I'm a Fresno State graduate. I did flunk radio at Fresno State, but that's okay. And but I'm a Bulldog, and you're a Bulldog, and a Raider. It's like those are my two favorite things. You play for the Bulldogs and the Raiders. I want to give you a hug, man. That's right.
Team, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, except for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, real quick, at Fresno State, when you were here, is there anybody that you remember from the Fresno area that really had an impact on you? And did that get you ready for the NFL?
Well, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that because I don't get to talk about this as much as I really should. Bobby Brooks at Fresno State, he was a senior when I was a freshman, and he took me under his wing. He was my mentor. I wore number 40 my senior year or junior and senior year because of him. That's
nice.
He ended up getting playing for the Raiders for maybe 5 years, special teamer, and it was cool. And that he showed me the way. And I'm thankful for his mentorship and the Raider connection.
Well, who was your coach? You had Pat Hill, your coach.
Yeah,
at Fresno State.
Pat Hill. Basically the same coaching staff that's there right now, minus Tedford. Bob Tedford to help. Yeah, I played with Tim Skipper, right? So,
yeah.
Mentors on the field, so it's cool. I love watching.
Then you go. Things are really getting good again, and I think Tedford might come back too. I know he's got some situation he's dealing with.
Yeah, he's got a great staff in place too, so he should be a little easier on him.
I do commercials with Pat Hill for golf and man, for Roger Dunn Golf. And Pat is just fiery. He does not care. And we're on the golf course. He's yelling, "I'll play you anywhere, anytime." He just still fired up, man.
Man, I learned so much from my days as a Bulldog, right? Just the discipline we learned in football helped me have an 8-year career in the NFL. Coach Baxter, all the fundamentals they taught, their academic game plan program. Man, that's something that I use right now in business. It's pretty neat how everything kind of
Was that Coach Brown helping you with that?
That was Coach Baxter with the academic game plan, but Coach Brown was my linebacker coach or defensive coordinator, linebacker coach. Amazing person. Rest in peace.
Yeah, he passed away, but he also was big with the horse racing too. And so I just always hang out with him at the track, but that's a whole nother thing. We move forward to the Raiders, and then that's where you probably met Mitch when Mitch was running the Legends show. And
yep.
Well, Sam and I met.
Go ahead,
we do. Our families go back. And I saw Sam one day, and he's looking at me. He says, "Where do I know you? I know you from?" And I had to remind him. And I do have to say this before we get started. Sam, kudos to you. Look at you all svelte, and the jawline is there. What are you weighing these days?
I'm 200 pounds. 200. I feel
that's
healthy.
Driver license weight. That's your driver's license weight from high school.
Really?
Now, what was your high? And when was your high?
Was 279.
Just call it 280.
280. I know. I never hit 280. I never hit 280.
What was your playing weight?
255.
Okay. That's the program weight, or is that a real one?
Yeah, that's what I played at, like, every year. I mean, I usually started training camp at 257, ended the season at like 245 probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you just talked about the stability at Fresno State with the same coaching staff. Your tenure with the Raiders, it's almost like you had a new coach every year.
We
How many coaches did you have there? I think I counted 5, maybe?
No, I believe it's more. Maybe 5. Let's count them out. Callahan. Who was
Norv?
Norv second? Was there someone after Norv?
Kiffin.
Art Shell.
Oh, yeah.
Art Shell. Hugh Jackson.
Tom
Cable, 6. That's 6.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Did you have Rex Ryan?
Rob Ryan.
So, Sam, we counted 6 coaches that you had at the Raiders.
Stability.
Which one, in your opinion, which one brought the most to the table while you were there?
Wow, that's a great question. They all brought different things to the table, right? I learned a lot from all of them. But I would say, well, it also has to do with the players and how the coaches respond. And due to that, Coach Cable, probably, I would say Cable, the way he came in as the interim coach, he'd been there, he observed, he really had a connection with the players. He listened, he knew who to listen to. And that made a huge difference. A lot of the coaches we had, they wouldn't listen to the certain players because just kind of, I don't know if it's necessarily ego or just they do what they do, right? But to hear the players and then respond in a way that made us feel like they heard us and connected with us, it went a long way.
And
go ahead.
I went back and looked today over the rosters that you played with. Oh my goodness. I'd totally forgotten all those names and Hall of Famers. Charles Woodson, Rod Woodson, Tim Brown, Jerry Brown, Randy Moss, Warren Sapp, all Hall of Famers. And then there's
Richard Seymour, right?
Richard Seymour. And it's just Moss. Crazy. Yeah. Go ahead.
Randy Moss. You had to come in and practice sometimes, didn't you?
Yeah. I remember those days and it's like, oh my God. And I see my name, one of my guys, Charlie Garner's name up there. I totally, Charlie's the greatest. And in fact, I probably need to give Charlie a call. Those teams and those characters were just fantastic. I mean, what were those locker rooms like?
Oh man, my locker was directly next to Warren Sapp. So that was awesome. It was a chance for me to bond and get to know Warren in ways that like most people don't, you know. I think that's great. And to be able to connect with teammates in the locker room. And Warren Sapp's leadership is different than a Richard Seymour, right? And just seeing how they play the same position but can have a completely different impact on the team and on the game. And it's cool to see, like, Antonio Pierce, he's been through it, right? So he knows what the players are feeling. He knows what they need. He knows when to throw them a bone. He knows he can relate to them. And I know he's listening to Max Crosby and the key players, right? He knows. So it's cool to see the fire that is generated in energy between the coach and the players. You know, it makes the game fun. And when it's fun,
could you imagine a linebacker head coach? What? That would have been perfect for you.
Yeah, well, I got to experience Beekert as my linebacker coach, right? Greg Beekert, I used to look up to him, the same number as him, and to have him coaching me was an inspiration, right? You want to go out and you're not going to let him down. You know,
right.
It's just how it is. It's
nice.
One thing to have a coach that's telling you to take on the blocker and telling you to do this and that and react a certain way, but they've never done it. You know, and
right.
And
Remember that game?
I don't mean to go.
I was going to say, remember that game where Beaker stole all of Peyton Manning's signals
exactly.
at halftime? It came out.
Exactly.
And it was like night and day.
Yes,
the first half, the second half.
Yeah.
Beaker,
yeah.
I've met Beaker a few times, and very nice, humble.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to be in the limelight. Just let me do my job.
But
what about guys like Rod Martin? Guys like Rod Martin that came before you were linebackers. Did they ever come? Because I know the old Raiders come around and hang out with the new Raiders. And did you have any input from those guys, Matt Millen or Rod Martin?
Phil used to come by quite a bit. But yeah,
he's a regular on our show. We love Phil. Phil's the best.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, one question we always ask: we want to know what's the biggest hit you gave and the biggest hit you received as a Raider.
You know what's funny?
Do you remember?
I was actually just talking about that. The biggest hit I gave was against the Panthers. There was a draw play that Robbo just kept working in practice, and he wasn't going to let that play get by on me. And in the game, I reacted to it, and I just missiled in and hit D'Angelo Williams. And after the game, he came up to me and said, "Yo, Sam, I've been playing football since Pop Warner, and that's the hardest I've ever been hit." And that was that was that was good, a good feeling. But then I've been hit. I want to say like 3 good times. One of them was like a toss crack play against the Chiefs. I got decleated.
Which would be illegal now, right? That would be an illegal hit
probably.
now.
A lot of this stuff would be illegal nowadays, right? But that's just how the game.
You got cracked back by the Chiefs?
Oh yeah, decleated. It was. I didn't feel it. It was such a big hit.
It just happened. It's so fast.
Yeah, it just happened. Yeah, but if you play long enough, it'll happen to you, right?
Right. Well, exactly. That's why they changed the rules. I never even played pro, but I had Icky Woods decleat me in high school. Because he was from Fresno.
Yeah.
I was supposed to crack back on him. And he turned around and sniffed it out. And then, oh, really?
Yeah, that's what
I did the shuffle down on the sidelines. Yeah, I'm telling you. What about the Oakland versus Vegas thing? I mean, Mitch is from Oakland. That's his town. Were you sad to see them go to Vegas?
So
how'd that influence you?
I was sad being from the Bay Area and just being an Oakland Raider. It was sad to see it happen. But the experience in Vegas, like I understand. I get it. I know what he's doing. Like, he's a visionary. He gets it, and I believe. That's it.
Yeah, that's true.
I understand now. I'm on board to help do whatever we can for the organization.
So speaking of Vegas, and you kind of jumped my next question, Sam, when you mentioned AP. AP coming in from an interim coach to being now the full-time head coach. From afar, and I don't know if you've been down to experience what he's sharing, but I know Charlie and I, from afar, can see through the television that there's a different demeanor from the players from game one that he took over. Have you sensed that? Have you been there to experience that? And that sort of coach, what do you do for that sort of coach? Do you run through a wall for him because he's done it before?
Yeah, you do what he asks of you because you know he's done it. He's won a Super Bowl. That's the goal, right? He's a leader. I hear peers talking about him, right? All of his peers have great things to say about him, his leadership skills, and he was born to do this, right? And I say it as players, it's difficult to become a coach because sometimes it comes natural to you to just react and do a play. And if someone's like maybe less talented than you and doesn't have the same reaction time, how do you tell them what to do when you're relying on instincts, right? And so he's able to translate how to do it, what he's saying and what's going on, and slow the game down for other players. Like just his experience and knowledge of the game, it's incredible. So playing for someone like that has an understanding of the game, who's a chess master, student of the game, and is going to make sure you're fully prepared for the game, and knows what it takes to win. And that by that, it also means by keeping his players healthy at the end of the season, ready to play in the postseason.
Well, last year, Mitch and I were talking. We were not into this show last year. We were just like so mad at the coach. It was like he was our stepdad and he beat us. We just hated him. And we're trying to do this show and be positive. And then as soon as he's gone, it was ding dong, the witch is dead. And it's something you can't measure. It's like momentum in a game. You know it's there, but you can't put your finger on it. But there is a definite change in the locker room, you know?
Yeah, it's different energy. Switched up the energy. Someone that could relate to the players and kind of was on the same frequency as them. Versus, I think the worst thing about being on a team is not being able to connect with your head coach. If you don't have an open line of communication with your head coach, like who are you playing for? What are you doing? Like, does he really care about me or the team? You know,
does he know my name? Yeah.
And so having that kind of communication with the coach and getting for the coach to let the players lead, right? That a great coach has a player that is the leader on the team that's doing everything for them. Like with Tom Brady with the Patriots, right? He was the leader of the team. And on our team, when Richard Seymour joined the team, he took a 2-8 team to an 8-8 team just with his presence and his leadership. And that speaks volumes. And at the end of the day, it's not on the coach, it's on the players.
Yeah. Well, speaking of leadership, Max Crosby, this guy that has an engine or a motor that doesn't stop. Have you ever played with someone like that, whether it be on the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah. He's relentless. He's a different breed. I'll say that. But he's one of those guys that does have a motor and a knack for getting to the ball. It reminds me of like him and Jared Allen, you know, have that similar, like, just get there, you know, and
just not stopping.
Stop. Just keep going. Just keep going. I love to watch it because you never know what's going to happen, right?
Oh, you never do. And he just wears his opponents down, and it's so fun to watch. So it's almost like a chess game. Where's Max going to line up? And he's just going to keep coming until you can't stop it. And then they'll flip them to the other side.
Yeah.
And then we saw Kuntz step up and start to perform. And if we can get Tyree Wilson to do the same, boy.
Yeah.
And you put somebody in the middle. Boy, oh boy. I'm excited. I can't wait for next year. And we have a draft that we have to look forward to, and free agency, and then the June free agency where the buyout and all of that. What do we need, Sam? What do we need to get over this hump?
I wish I had the answers. I wish I had all the answers. I don't know. I believe Antonio knows. So I'm believing in what he's going to provide, right? And I buy in. It depends on the scheme and what they're going to do, right? And just make sure we have the right chess pieces in.
Well, Sam, I appreciate you coming on the show. Fresno State Bulldog alumni, Oakland Raider alumni, and then hanging out with Mitch, of course, the professor of the perfect rotation. I couldn't ask for anything better.
One more time.
It's at perfectrotation.com. And what's that 30% off if you do what in the code?
Put Raiders.
Raiders, right. All right. So. Sam, I can't believe you're 200 pounds and you're at your high school weight. That's great. You're an inspiration to all of us. Exactly. My goodness. I've put on like 300 pounds since kindergarten, so I'm nervous about that. Anyway, once again, this is Inside the Patch. Thanks, Sam Williams, our special guest, number 54 from your Oakland Raiders. Mitch Adams, Perfect Rotation, and I'm Gnarley Charley. We'll see you next time for Inside the Patch.
We'll be back with more Inside the Patch on 1430 ESPN, your official home of the Las Vegas Raiders.